And if you think for 1 second that there is ever going to be that one magical moment that changes your life and you're never going to have to work for anything, you're just going to make some music and one day the right person's going to hear it, you're absolutely wrong and you're in the wrong industry and you should stop.
You are now listening to the Music Business Streams podcast, brought to you by KDMR Music.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Music Business Dreams podcast. I'm your host, Brandon from KDMR Music, and I'm super excited to have you. This is episode 15, and I want to say thank you for listening. So today we're doing something that we have not done in the 3 months that this podcast has been live, and that is giving you a solo episode. So it's just me and you in this room right now, and I want to talk to you about how to avoid scams in the music industry. And before we get into that, I want to just give you guys a little bit of background about who I am and why this podcast even exists. So my name's Brandon Jackson. I have been in the music industry for about 10 years. I started out, like most people do, as an artist. And in 2011, I took on my first official role in the music industry as an intern for Jamla Records. Now, you may know of Jamla Records. They are the home of the rap artist Rhapsody. This is Ninth Wonder's label. Ninth Wonder, former member of Little Brother and super producer. He's worked with people like Jay-Z, Beyonce, Destiny's Child, Jill Scott, Mary J. Blige, and the list goes on. Anyway, he started this independent label back in 2008, and I joined as an operations and marketing intern in 2011, where my primary job was to manage social media accounts of 3 of the artists as well as the main label Facebook page. So that's where I got my start. From there, I got into artist management and marketing consulting for independent artists, and that has kind of led us all the way up until today. My company, KDMR Music, was started as an artist management company also back in 2011. And in 2016, we kind of shifted gears and became a lot more focused on consulting and coaching programs for artists, basically so that we can open up the knowledge and really teach you guys about the music business and all of the changes that have come over the last 5 to 7 years in the business that make it easy for you, or easier for you, to get your music out there, get your voice heard, and make a living in the music business without the use of a major label in a lot of cases. So that's a little bit more about me. Now, the reason I wanted to talk about this topic today is because our community has been growing a lot since we started this podcast 3 months ago, and I'm starting to see a lot of the same questions being asked over and over again. And I think there is a fundamental issue with the mindset that is fed to a lot of independent artists. And that's what we're going to nip in the bud today. And that idea is the idea that there is some magical person or figure or company that will discover an artist and make all of their dreams come true. And this idea that just the right person needs to hear you, and that is going to be the difference between you having a successful career and you not having a successful career. So today we're talking about the scams that you need to avoid, but even more than that, we're talking about the mindset that you need to have as an independent artist. Because when you look at the scams that you see a lot of the time, they all kind of follow the same theme. Typically, a scammer wants to take as much money as they can from you up front and promise results. And they may even be able to get you those results, but typically the result isn't anything all that great to begin with, right? And I'll tell you why in just a second. Basically, this boils down to the idea of vanity metrics, this idea that we have that things like plays or a follower count matters, or taking pictures with celebrities, right? The idea that, musicians are in love with the appearance of success, but no one is really willing to roll up their sleeves and do the hard work that is required to achieve that success consistently. And because of that, you've got a lot of people, we can call them culture vultures, we can call them predators, we can call them whatever. But these people see the blood in the water. They see the opportunity that they have to make a quick dollar off of people who are too naive or uneducated to understand that what they're doing is, in fact, scamming them. So I want to break down a few of these schemes that I've seen over the years. And as I start talking about them, you guys are going to notice a lot of similarities. And this is going to help you to identify these schemes because there are plenty of scams out there that I'm not going to name today. But they all have this same sort of thing in common. So you'll be able to spot them a lot easier after this conversation that we're having. Conversation. You guys aren't talking back. But I'd love to hear what you think. Speaking of, when you're done listening, or even while you're listening, please leave us a rating, leave us a review in iTunes. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you're on YouTube. Press the subscribe button if you're on Facebook. Give us a like. Anything you can do to let us know how you're enjoying the show and how helpful we're being. I love your feedback. So let's talk about the first scam I've seen, or a scam I've seen a lot more lately, and that is social media promotion. And the two biggest things that I see are people that are selling followers or selling likes or, post engagement. And you see this on Facebook, on Twitter, really everywhere. But there are these people that will promise to get you hundreds or even thousands of social media followers. And again, it goes back to this idea that numbers are everything. If someone's got 10,000 followers on social media, that must mean they're successful. But the problem with this is that numbers by themselves don't really mean much. They don't tell the whole story. When you're looking at it from I'm about to get really nerdy for a second, but when you're looking at the concept of data and analytics, data works when you have a lot of it, right? Not just a lot of one number. For example, let's say I've got 10,000 followers on Twitter. That's a pretty big number, but that's not the number that really matters. What really matters is how many people are seeing my posts, how many people are engaging, how many people hit that heart button or retweet my tweets when I post something. Those are the numbers that tell us more about someone's audience. Because let's say you've got 10,000 followers, but you only get one or two likes or retweets per post. Well, that would mean that the people who are following you aren't interested enough to share your post with their friends. So going after one really big number isn't going to help you in the long run. Because again, these companies, these tech companies, whether it's a social media company or a streaming service like Spotify, they collect hundreds upon thousands of data points. They know how many people like your post. They know what time people see your post. They know what advertisers would do better based on putting their stuff on your post. There's a lot of information that these tech companies gather, and it is important that the data is relevant, that the data is useful. And the data is not going to be useful for you or anyone else if it was purchased from a fake source. And so let's talk about how the social media promotion works. Typically, when someone is selling you likes or followers on a platform, what they're doing is they are hiring these click farms. And they're typically, people in these third world countries, or I shouldn't even say third world, that seems kind of derogatory, but they're people from countries with not as strong economies as the United States, right? And so they can pay someone $2 an hour to sit in a really crowded room, kind of like a call center, where all they're doing is getting on social media and pressing the like button a million times. Or they've got programs, software programs, or bots, more commonly known, that will do the same thing. That will just boost up a post and give it this fake engagement that you see. The problem with this fake engagement is, again, it's fake. As soon as you stop paying for it, you're going to see it stop. And even while you're paying for it, because these people, a lot of times don't speak English or aren't real people, they're not giving you real feedback or real engagement, right? And if the people that are liking your post are fake, then even if they share it with their friends, well, they don't have any friends because they were fake to begin with. So as you can see, the power in the music business is having fans. And why fans are so powerful is that a fan is always going to share your music with their friends. That's what makes them a fan. They're an advocate for you. If you're buying fake fans, your music really isn't spreading. The only reason these numbers are helpful, a lot of artists think that, okay, well, in order for a label to sign me, I need these numbers. And these numbers are going to get me the attention of a label, and then they'll sign me, and then I'll be big and rich and famous or whatever. But labels know when you're faking it. It's very easy to tell. I can tell when you're faking it, and I'm no one special. And all the people in your hometown that you're trying to act like you're better than, they can tell too, because it's really, really obvious. So if you're doing these social media promotion scams, or if you are, participating in that, you're losing money. You're losing money hand over fist. And it's a shame that I've got to tell you that, but it's the truth. And so let's get to another one. Another scam that I see a lot is these fake publicists. And I say they call themselves publicists, and they'll say, oh, I've got a database of 150 DJs or 150 blogs, and I promise that your post will get picked up by 25 blogs if you pay me $500. And, at first you think that's a good thing because, a blog has visitors that aren't you. And of course, you want to reach an audience that's not just you or your friends. So you think, okay, it's probably good for me to put my music up here. The problem is that blog, they're getting paid by the person that you just paid. And the only reason they're posting your content is because they were paid to do that. They don't have an audience that's actually looking for your content. So your post being on that blog doesn't do anything for you. And unless it's a really big reputable outlet like Complex or something, you don't even get to put it on your resume as if it's a big deal, right? One that I see a lot is thisis50.com. And no disrespect to 50 Cent, but he started his blog back when Ning was still a thing, right? And for a while it was cool. It was like, okay, we get to see what 50 Cent's into. There were a few writers for the site that would discover new music. But when's the last time an artist broke from thisis50.com? But I bet no matter where you are listening to this, you can name some rapper from your hometown that just got their video posted there. It didn't do anything for them either, because we all know that the people that are on that website are there because they paid to be on it, not because people really have a demand for it. And again, the whole purpose of you building a career in music is to get fans. The fans are what are going to drive your revenue. It's not these third-party systems. Spotify, yes, they pay you when your music gets streamed, but they're not going to be your bread and butter. Complex doesn't pay you when your video goes online. OK Player doesn't pay you when your music video goes online. Pitchfork doesn't pay you when they post your music video. All they do is share your content with people that they think would enjoy it. The people should be your goal. The people should be your passion. The fans are what you're really after, not the placements. So if you focus your energy on building fans from the beginning, you're going to be much better off. And that's why I advocate for things such as building an email list, such as, looking for a genuine publicist who can tell you, okay, this song is good, this song is bad, but this song sounds like things that I'd hear on XYZ website, and I'm going to share it with them. That is what a real publicist does. That is why publicity is important, because these people are gatekeepers. These people are curators, and they have trusted opinions. And that's why we go on websites like Complex and Pitchfork to find new music, because we know that the music that we like is similar to what we show on those websites. But if someone posts your music on Complex and it has nothing to do with anything else Complex has ever posted, no one's going to like it, even if you do make it onto that website. So trying to take shortcuts is never going to work in your advantage. And so another scam I see a lot are the Spotify promoters, right? There's one person on Instagram that I saw just yesterday, and I won't name any names, but she was selling 1,000 streams on Spotify. Well, excuse me. She was selling 7 days of Spotify promotion. Her guarantee was at least 1,000 plays in those 7 days. And all of that could be yours for the low, low price of $40. Let's talk about a couple of flaws with that. For one, under the current revenue model, you make, for every 1,500 streams on any streaming service, you make the equivalent of about $10. So let's say this person was telling the truth and they got you those 1,000 plays. You paid $40 for it. Sounds like you've lost more than $30 just from getting those results. But again, the real problem with this is that Spotify works based on data that they have, that they collect about their users. The reason artists blow up on Spotify is because they end up on playlists, right? If you want to really be on Spotify playlists, you got to reach out to playlist curators. And that sounds like this mysterious figure, but Spotify is one of the few that has that information readily available to someone who's willing to do the work. So if you listen back to our episode with Jay Filt from howtomakeverysickbeats.com, he detailed his strategy on how he gets on Spotify playlists. He's been featured on over 40 different playlists, and now he's being picked up by some of the bigger Spotify sponsored playlists, like the Lo-Fi Hip Hop playlist. Rap Caviar is one of those playlists. Discover Weekly. There are so many different playlists that Spotify will basically curate by looking at the activity on the platform. But again, if you're being promoted to fake people, then Spotify can see that data and say, oh, no, this is just a click farm artist or whatever. And they'll make sure your music is nowhere near their official playlist because they don't want to promote content that people aren't going to like. Their goal is to keep people on the platform longer. So if you're not a likable artist, if you're not someone that people know, there's no point of being on that playlist. They're not going to put you up there because that's going to draw people away from Spotify and up to other services that compete. So again, Spotify's algorithm is smart enough to know who's actually listening. And you don't want to play yourself by paying someone to get you some streams. It's definitely going to be hard work to get featured on Spotify playlists, but that hard work is worth it because when you do it the right way, you're building fans every step of the way. And fans don't just listen to music. Fans buy music. Fans sign up for your email list. Fans stay updated on what's going on with you. Fans pay you for your services, for your time. If you listen to our episode with Cheryl Engelhardt, she talked about how one fan gave her $10,000 toward her album because he'd been keeping up with her emails. One person gave her $10,000, and she's got stories of other people giving her airline mileage and donating different things to help her succeed. Your fans care that much about you if they're real fans, which is not to say that just because they're a fan means they need to give you a certain amount of money. But the people who want to support you will make it known. And as soon as you give them the opportunity to, they will do it. They'll support you. But if all you're doing is buying fake fans and buying likes and all that, you really don't have anyone in your corner that'll support you when it's time to. That's why it's so important for you to do things the right way. And there's a couple of more different scams. There's the whole idea of paying to play shows. I advise against that because it could be helpful in the sense of like buying onto a tour or something. But usually the people that are asking me about paying to play shows don't have an audience. And if you don't have an audience, your first goal should be to get an audience, because the whole point of playing shows is to bring people into a venue. The only reason a venue is going to pay you to do a show is because they know that you're going to bring people to that show. You've got fans that will come out to see you. Those fans, while they're looking or watching your show, your performance, they'll come out, they'll buy a drink, they'll buy some food from the bar or the restaurant, and the bar, the restaurant, the venue makes money because you were there. That's the whole purpose of a live show, as well as, for you to provide a good experience for your fans. If you're doing those shows where someone gives you 15 tickets, they're like, all right, well, you just sell these 15 tickets and you've got your spot. Essentially, you've just paid $150 to perform. And if you were someone who had to be bribed into selling tickets, you probably don't have fans. And so when you do find those 10 people to come to the show, they don't really care, right? They're not really interested in you. They felt like they were doing you a favor by showing up. So they're not going to buy merchandise. They might buy a drink. They might not. But it's not going to benefit you. You want to, at any point in time, no matter what the activity is in your career, you're either doing it to make money or you're doing it to gain more fans. At the ideal is that you'll do both simultaneously. Paying to play shows, hopefully it's going to get you more fans. It's definitely not going to get you more money. You're losing money because you're paying, right? So you shouldn't do it. It's the same with these showcases, which I haven't seen a lot of them lately, but there are these showcases where, some promoter will rent out a studio or a hotel conference room, whatever, and say, oh, we're going to throw this conference and we'll have a couple of performances. You can pay to perform at the conference, and we'll have this A&R from Def Jam or from whatever record label you want to choose. And they'll hear you perform and maybe you'll get signed. Newsflash. No one is signing artists just based on seeing them in a club somewhere. And they're definitely not signing the artists that they saw at this showcase that they were paid to be at. An A&R's job is to spot what's trending, what's next. And in today's industry, we have data that tells us who's next, what's next. We have your SoundCloud numbers. We have your engagement on Facebook and Twitter. We have your streaming numbers. We see which songs are popular. We have charts. We see what data is trending. And A&Rs act on that. A&Rs aren't signing you because of what you sound like. And if you want proof, look at who's being signed. The Yodeling Kid and Bad Baby, right? Hot Bobby, I don't know. The Catch Me Outside girl. You don't think she's got real musical talent, do you? She got signed because she was popular. She was on television. There are people that are interested in her story. People like to mimic her. She's a joke. And that's why she got signed. So there's no one that's waiting in the wings to give you this contract and change your life. And if you think for 1 second that there is ever going to be that one magical moment that changes your life and you're never going to have to work for anything, you're just going to make some music and one day the right person's going to hear it, you're absolutely wrong and you're in the wrong industry and you should stop. And I mean to sound as harsh as possible because I want you to get back to living a real life. Sitting around making all these songs is really not the life you want if you're expecting to not do work. It's just not going to happen for you. So what I'm going to say to you and to anyone who feels that way is quit. Now, if you are willing to do the work, to do the right things, to put in the work that's necessary, to shake hands, to kiss babies, to pound the pavement, to put your music, to work on your music, to get real feedback for your music, change it, and then reach out to people that you think would be interested and gain fans one by one by one, then that's definitely something that you can do. And you can see success, you can see profits from day one if you set these things up correctly. Now, a lot of the structures and the things that I talk about you needing to have in place, I talk about them a lot more in depth through my book, the Music Marketing Guidebook. You can actually download a free sample chapter by visiting themusicmarketingguidebook.com. If you are interested in purchasing the book, it is $20, but I will give you 50% off just for being a listener to the show. All you've got to do is use the coupon code podcast, and that'll get you the 50% off. And even if you don't buy the book, there are a ton of ways to stay connected with me and get the advice that you're looking for without paying anything. You can follow us on YouTube or subscribe on YouTube. You can follow us on social media. You can join the Indie Club, kdmr.us/Indie Club. I'm going to leave all the links to all the things that I've talked about today in the description below, but I hope that this conversation has helped you understand why scams happen, why they happen to you, and how you can avoid them. If anyone is offering you some quick get rich quick scheme, they're trying to scam you. Don't fall for it. Don't pay them your money. You work too hard for your money to let it go out the door for stupid stuff like that. But that's it until next week. I'll see you soon. And thanks again for listening.